I'm going to let you follow that up, and then I'm going to go to a place that we need to go to. I don't know if you want me to go there right now. Do you want me to go there right now? Because I could go there right now.
Before you go there, I was worried. You know, I've been thinking about a lot. You know, you start to get older. You start thinking about all the lucky things you were able to see. Like going back to the 90s, seeing this team lose that many times to Green Bay, I really thought they would win another one with Steve Young. I did. Yeah. I really did. Then Garcia and Owens was like kind of like that forged my young adult. Right. I am a Niner lifer when I would go to all those games, and that team wasn't good enough, but I always had hope. And literally watching games, I prayed to God that a miracle would happen, that we would win a championship, knowing we were not the better team against Tampa Bay, knowing we were not the better team against Green Bay when we faced them again. And then, the Harbaugh era, they were so close. So close. That New York Giants game, Kyle Williams fumbling the way he did, and Ahmed Bradshaw, I thought he fumbled in the overtime game with the rain coming down, walking out of Candlestick. It's something I will never, ever, ever get over. And then the Super Bowl loss was as bad as it gets, just across the board. Then the following year, just the Seahawk thing, the way that went down, losing Bowman on that field, seeing Frank Gore get basically knocked out in that game, losing Iupati, Kaepernick, and that throw with Richard Sherman having the greatest play in Seattle sports history, devastating. Knowing that we lost the heart and soul of our team. Maybe I thought it was for his career in Bowman. We were lucky he even came back, but that was it. That was it. That signified it.
Era. That was it for the Harbaugh era.
And then, 2020, 2019, you and I in the studio watching that game, and for them to blow that lead the way they did, ripping my soul out and having to do a 4-hour show, you and me, taking call after call when it's one of the lowest moments I can remember.
May have been our greatest work. It was an epic show.
I was devastated.
The businessman in me wasn't bad. I'm telling you, it was a good show.
Then, we were blessed to go down to L.A., blessed. And I got to take my dad, and, we drove down in a Mustang going down I-5, and we had such a great 36 hours down there. All of the homies that we hooked up with. We Niner fans took over that stadium. Took over that stadium. And to lose again, up 10 in the fourth quarter, the way we did with Jimmy throwing the interception and Aaron Donald and Jaworski Tart dropping the ball, that was a horrific loss. And then the next year, you and I go to freaking Philadelphia, have the time of our lives. They treat us like absolute garbage going into that stadium, and we lose our freaking quarterback before the game even really gets off going. To get back to here and to go to Vegas and to have an opportunity to face one of the all-time great players and to get that revenge against him and shut everybody up, hell yeah, dude, I want to exonerate these freaking ghosts. I'm tired of freaking losing. I'm almost going to cuss right now. I'm sick and tired of getting right up to the altar, about to get engaged and married, and then someone takes the wedding ring away from us. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting pushed around. As I watched Patrick Willis, one of my favorite players of all time, class personified, the guy gave his freaking body to this organization. He represented passion and dedication and class in an era of darkness. He was everyone's favorite player. And the one thing that I wished he had, him and Frank Gore, was to be able to stand up on that podium and have that Lombardi handed to them. They deserved it more than anyone. Yep. What they meant to this team and this fan base, guys our age, name a guy our age who didn't have the Patrick Willis jersey.
Well, I didn't have the Patrick Willis jersey. I had a Frank Gore, but listen,
for them to not have it hurts me.
But the moment that I loved with Willis and Gore was in the Georgia Dome when they won the NFC Championship game, coming back from 17-0. And Patrick Willis was getting interviewed by Fox Sports. It could have been Aaron Andrews, could have been Pam Oliver. I don't remember. And Frank Gore ran up to him. We're going to the Super Bowl, man. They had a hug and an embrace. I ran outside and I started crying because I was so happy for Frank Gore. You saw how excited he was. Then he hits the podium and he has Frank Jr. up there on the set with them going to the Super Bowl. And they don't come close and they don't win that Super Bowl. They don't win it. But I do want to ask Niner fans, because you're going down memory lane. When did you become a Niner fan? When did you know this was the team you love? Because for me, Shasky, I wasn't blessed to go to games at a young age.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money to go to games.
I was very fortunate.
I watched a lot of games on television every single Sunday. It was ready to roll. Newspaper the next day, Sporting Green, the Examiner, whatever it was. I was locked and loaded at 8:30 watching the 49ers pregame show with Marky Baez, Joe Fonzie, Harris Barton, Jamie Williams back in the day. It felt like I was just born in being a Niner fan. And I remember the first Super Bowl win against Cincinnati, my first Super Bowl win as a kid. It just felt like I was born in loving the Niners.
Yeah.
I knew no other team. I knew nothing else.
Yeah.
When did you know you were a Niner fan? Like Rian Lancaster set the tone this morning talking about a Vegas trip and the 3-team parlay, and the only team that hit was a Niner fan. And she goes, well, that's the team I'm rolling with. And here we are 20, 30 years later, and she's still a Niner fan.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so when were you a Niner fan? When did you become a Niner fan? When did you start loving this team? Whether you went to the games or not, I want to know. Because it means a lot to a lot of people to get this one. Think about the generations that haven't experienced the Super Bowl win with this team. With this team.
You know, I've always been a Niner fan, so it's hard for me to, like, envision a time where I became one. I get what you're saying, like, but I'm tearing up because, like, I'm thinking about it. The moment I always think of when I was like, what does being a Niner fan mean? Running out of Candlestick after the Niners beat the New York Giants in the wild card game, we hopped in the back of my grandfather's S10 white truck as we're coming down 3rd Street, and I'm literally tearing up. My boy White Mike, who we kind of had a falling out, and I love him. I miss him dearly to this day. Seeing us in the back of the car, high-fiving all the people in Hunters Point as we're going out. You know anybody who knows where that 29, that bus route was coming out on Paloux, you high-fiving random people and catching footballs from people on the streets as my dad and my grandfather are in the front of the S10, the white S10, as we're coming down 3rd Street. That's what being a Niner fan was.
Well,
for me, like when I close my eyes, that's what I think of.
Well, I think
my brother in the parking lot.
I'm actually thinking about this, and I hope my mom is listening. She's always listening. Before we get back out to the lines,
sorry, I'm getting emotional, man.
No, it's all good. My mama always listens. Becky Tindall, I know she's always listening. So we left out 334 Waller. We're getting ready. We actually had a little party. Auntie Lisa came over, my cousin Drew. And when the Niners beat up on the Bears to go to the Super Bowl at Soldier Field, I remember that game like it was yesterday. They played the Bengals, obviously, a couple weeks later. And so we're watching at Uncle Mitch's house. Uncle Mitch, rest in peace. Mitchell Jr., shout out to him. He's up in Sac. So, Waller, we had this complex. It was 4 apartments. We're next door to Uncle Mitch. And Uncle Mitch, I would always go over there and watch the fights with him. I was the only kid that was able to watch the fights with the OGs. All the other kids, they'd be in the kiddie room. I could watch with the OGs because, like, this guy's he's a fanatic. But in that game with Cincinnati, I was with the kids, and we had our little TV, and I would go back and forth to the OGs, and there was this one guy, Uncle Lawrence. Lawrence, he's a Saints fan. He would always talk trash to me, little Bonte, man, you about to lose. And I remember Mike Cofer missed the kick in that Super Bowl. He missed the kick.
Wide right.
And I remember getting depressed, like, oh, no, they can't lose. This is my team. They're meant to win. They're meant to win. In that moment, when I think about it, running back and forth with the kids, and I was like, I'm not with these kids. They don't know what's going on. They got their Niners gear on. I'm one of them. I'm an OG. I belong in the big boy room watching this football team. Shasky, I was 6 years old at the time. 6 years old. And the maniac understanding what the hell was going on. And when they won that Super Bowl, I knew then, damn, this is my team. This is it. They were my first love. They were my first love.
Everybody's first love at that time.
So when you think about what happens on Sunday and being there at the Super Bowl, and my mom this past Sunday goes, Monte, you're going to be at the Super Bowl watching your team in Super Bowl 58, trying to do something for the first time since 1994-95. I was like, damn, when you put it like that, this is big time.
You're getting me emotional, bro.
Nah, don't cry, man.
But you're getting me emotional.
Well, you're not going to get emotional now.
Because you know what? No, but you're bringing up, it's like this team was a lot of people's first love, and I'm glad that you're expressing that. And everyone's got different things and different prerogatives and whatnot. Right. Like, B, how many times did you and me have the conversations we have on air are exactly like the conversations we have in off air. Yeah. We're screaming and yelling. How many times have you called me at halftime of a Niner game screaming at me?
Going psycho.
How many times?
Going psycho.
For the last however many years. Yeah. Rocco's been doing that to me for 25 years. My brother's been doing that to me for 25 years. My grandfather would call me on Mondays and do a full breakdown on every single game. Paris Harrelson was jumping off sides. Right. You know what I mean? Like losing our minds.
Losing the game as a child with the Niners would ruin my week. And it caused me problems in elementary school. It would lead to anger issues because I was so ticked off when they lost to the Cowboys in '92. I remember being in Richard Matthews' car, and I watched it at his house, and he dropped me back off at 334 all over my mom, and I'm sitting in the back of the car, and I was like crying. I was like distraught. I was like, what? We lost to the Cowboys? I didn't understand the Niners-Cowboys rivalry at the time. But I was just thinking, wait a minute. We're supposed to be in the Super Bowl. We're supposed to be there.
You know what's special about the Niners? You've passed it on to Anna. You've passed it on to baby Ches, right? Like I've seen myself being able to pass it on to my nieces and take them to games and let them experience. And now they are Niner lifers forever. One playoff game and they are freaking hooked.
And it's hooked.
And that's what it's all about. I'm telling you, it's deeper than just a game.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
I'm so pumped. We have to win this.
Well, you're going to be more pumped because we're going to Fremont. And we're going to my main man, Juice. Juice at Fremont. Talk to the people.
Before I get into my call, I want to say first and foremost, much love and respect to you two for allowing us, the fans, to speak on the number one freaking sports radio show in America. But as the third unofficial host of the morning roast, like Steph Curry in Indiana last night, allow me to cook. Allow me to speak to all the great Niner Empire fans who have supported the greatest storied sports franchise in all of sports. Regardless of your age, gender, race, religious background, we are forever united by two colors. Red representing the blood and tears in battle, and gold for the ultimate prize when we overcome the war. To all the great fans of the Niner Empire, wherever you're at right now, at this moment, whether it's the melting pot of the bay, all the way to the frozen ice of Antarctica, turn up your radio dial as I speak the state of emergency. The last 2 weeks was all fun and games. The last 2 weeks, the Niner Empire were flirting with Cupid. But this Sunday, we're going to put on the big boy pants, strap the combat boots, tighten up the uniform, and prepare for war. You see, we waited 1,470 days so we as a fan base can say, like in the words of George Kittle, who said 4 years ago, we're back here with a vengeance. And at the same time, the sports god heard our prayers and allowed the Niners to face yet again Patrick Mahomes, who has a 3-0 record against this team. All this freaking week, you heard the whispers of, I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is a legend. Chelsea's unstoppable. The Chiefs' defense can match the Niners' weapons. Blah, blah, blah. Not also is this a disrespect to the Niner Empire, but am I surprised? How many times have this team heard all the negative critics when they were building this roster? So Trent Williams is coming with baggage from Washington. Debo's a reach in the second round. McCaffrey is injury prone, and Brock is a glorified game manager. Every person on this team has been questioned from all the haters, but that hasn't stopped this team. Because you know why? They laugh at us because they say we different, but we laugh at all of them because they are all the same. It's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog. Through all the struggle, through all the pain, all the nagging injuries, through hardship and doubt, you are now where you're supposed to be. Why? Because you believe, and therefore we believe. And finally, as I leave this call, in 1968, a marathon athlete, John Steve Acquire, who ran the Olympic event in Mexico City, was shortly crossing the finish line. The event was finished hours ago. Beaten, bruised, injured. When a sports reporter asked him, why did you finish the race even though everybody gave up? This is what he said. My people didn't send me 5,000 miles to start the race. My people sent me 5,000 miles to finish the freaking race. Niner Empire, you didn't come all this way to be in the Super Bowl. You came all the way to win the freaking Super Bowl. It's either you live for nothing or you die for something. And on February 11, 2024, the whole world will bear witness. We came back to take what belongs to us. Instead of peace and love, the Chiefs will experience. These men will become a violence and revenge. Just like the Packers and the Detroit Lions, I am freaking out.
Damn.
They didn't send me to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race.
You know,
that's the greatest call Juicy's ever.
The call will have to be replayed in the 9 o'clock hour. It's already the call of the year. Just lock it up, store it away. I don't care if the Niners lose, win, it's the call of the year. I don't even know what to say after that. Juice only calls about 6 times a year. That's what makes him special. And I think about the guy every damn day. You know what I'm saying? And this is who we do the show for. Because Juice is always lurking. The Robs and San Brunos, the Juices, the Robins, the Tonys, the Clark, the Shark, the Cows, the Verducci's, that call right there got me. I didn't disagree with a damn thing he said. I mean, God, Spinoni, seriously.
I'm just thinking about the meme where it's the guy in the bed with the wife, and the wife's turned over. He's like, I wonder who he's thinking about, some girl or something. Fonte's thinking about Juice and Fremont.
I'm telling you, man, every postseason, this guy comes with a call that has me ready to just leave the studio and say, to hell with the show. I'm just ready to play a football game. I'm ready to run through a wall. Every time that man calls, he brings the and you hear the passion. You hear how much this team means to him. He wants this just as bad as Shasky. He wants it just as bad as the Roasters. He wants it just as bad as Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and Brock Purdy. He wants to pass it along to his family. That call will be replayed at the 9 o'clock hour. It's one of the greatest calls I've heard in Sports Talk Radio. It's one of the best calls I've heard in a very, very long time. Good Lord, that was good. Good luck following that up.
This team it means something different to this part of the country. It just does. Football, obviously, football's king. I've told you over and over, this is a team that's born and raised here. The name represents the region because of the big, influx of people that were coming here searching for gold. The colors, the resume of the organization over the years, all the heartbreak. This team represents this region, and it means something different. It just does. The Niners they're the biggest thing around here, and it's not even close. And people have been begging, dying, scratching and clawing for them to win just one.
Just one.